Hi, my name's Stefanie Pest. My pronouns are she, her. I am a proud trans woman, and I have devoted my life to advocating for the trans community. In our trans community, we have people that are not able to speak for themselves because of the stigma that we face in society right now. We are dependent on the majority of the population, which is the cis population. Those are people that are assigned a sex at birth and are content with that, as opposed to trans people and gender diverse people that are not. The beginning of my coming out, there was a survey produced at our plant that wanted to find out about the makeup of our workforce. So I decided to go see our women's advocate. They told me that I was not the first. There was a trans man that had come out maybe a year before I did. And they suggested that I contact this person because they were running a peer-to-peer support group for trans people in Windsor called Trans Spectrum. And I was shocked, I was overjoyed that there was somebody else that was going through the same thing I am. And so I decided to reach out to this person and attend these meetings that they had. I think it was once a month that we would go to, and other trans people would come, and we would, relate our experiences being trans in our community. And that was the start of a wonderful friendship. It also was the beginning of my advocacy, because listening to other trans people, and this was my first exposure to other trans people, I had no exposure previous to that at all. And I was amazed at how privileged I am that I didn't go through some of the discrimination and prejudice that most trans people experience. My decision at that point was, I have a voice that may help my own community, my new community that I'm a part of, that I could speak and have that courage to do that for others that do not have that ability, with the privilege, the white privilege that I have. The privilege of a really good job, a loving, supportive family. This is not a common occurrence in our trans community, and that needs to change. And I thought that my voice could offer that help. So while I was a member of Trans Spectrum, we decided we needed to expand and offer support to others in the community that may not have the courage to come to us. I am a union member at Chrysler, and our UNIFOR union have some courses that we can take. And one of the first ones that I went to was a human rights course in the education center up in Port Elgin that we have at UNIFOR. And it was the most amazing experience that I decided that in the class setting that I would announce that I was a trans woman. And right away, in a human rights course especially, the facilitators jumped on that and said, "Well, we're gonna be asking you a lot of questions," which was my first experience that people really want to hear what we have to say. In that process, one of the facilitators there was a reporter from the Windsor Star. And when the Trans Day of Remembrance came up, she decided to put my name forward to maybe have a story about that. I was featured on the front page of the Windsor Star for that day. And it was an amazing experience that somebody wanted to hear my story, and never before. This was the first time somebody wanted to hear my story. It was very, very humbling, but at the same time, very exhilarating that I could tell my story. and share it and have people understand our community better than they may have not before. So that was the beginning of, a thought process that I had, that perhaps I do have this ability to be a voice. And it led from one thing to the next, and I decided, because we don't have transition-related surgeries for us covered in our OHIP here in Ontario. We do have a limited amount of surgeries available, but we cannot actually transition fully. So I decided to advocate for that, for us to have the access to these transition-related surgeries. So I decided to go to my local MPP, and that was scary, but they were very receptive to my message that these are things that are medically necessary for our trans community, and that yes, we should be doing that. So that was the beginning of my political career, if you want to say, because since then, that was in 2017, that was after the Trans Day of Remembrance vigil, that I got the confidence to do that. And that led me to go to the Ontario NDP LGBTQ committee meeting that February in 2018, where I pitched my idea about fully coverage of transition-related surgeries for trans people and gender diverse community as well. Very important to remember that our community is quite diverse. And they also, that was part of their policy at the Ontario NDP, that would be something that they would follow and try to accomplish. And so then the election came up in 2019, and that was part of their platform. And apparently it was my suggestion that started the ball rolling at that committee meeting. Following that, I was asked to become the co-chair of that committee, which I am. I became the co-chair of the Ontario NDP LGBTQ committee, which also automatically makes me one of the executives at the party level. So now I'm at the table. This happened so quickly. My mind was spinning, but things were happening. People were listening. They wanted to support our community at the political level, and that's where change happens. You change laws and you make people's lives better. I'm not that token trans person. That was my fear. Like you become part of these groups, and you're the token person. Here we got a trans person now part of it. Look, how progressive we are. And that's not the case at all. I'm not just the co-chair of the LGBTQ committee. I am part of our local electoral district association. I am part of the regional. I'm vice president of the federal one here, and on it goes. There's so many hats I have. And this is just at the political level. At the union as well, I didn't even touch on a lot of that. That I actually wrote a resolution that in bargaining, that each union and company should be discussing transition-related surgeries as part of their bargaining. And that passed. It has to go through a process, but I wrote it. It goes to our local, and then it goes to regional, and it passed. And I go, wow, they actually did that, and I started it. I did not expect to be this advocate for our community. I just wanted to live my authentic life with my family by my side and to explore all of the things that I wasn't able to in my male persona, because that was not who I was. You know what I don't want to come across? I don't want to come across is that I'm some savior for a trans community. I'm not. All I'm doing is talking. All I'm doing is making things happen. I'm just planting a seed. I'm a gardener by heart. I just plant seeds and I watch them flourish. And so far, the garden has bounty and it hasn't stopped. There have been many times people want to hear what I have to say, and they are very receptive of helping or learning about our trans community. And that is very, very hopeful to me, that eventually, just like the LGBT people of 20, 30 years ago, all the struggles that they had back then, we are having that now in the trans community. And they have come so far with, legislation being changed and human rights being upheld for them, that now we are experiencing that same success. And it's a matter of having society change. We are diverse. We are not just a binary of male and female. We are, many, many genders. Trans people have been around since the beginning of the human race. And this is what we need to understand, that we are not in boxes. But having a discussion is the first step. And educating while you are discussing it and knowing what the issues are, it's very, very difficult. So going forward, in my advocacy, I have this quote from one of our statespeople in Canada, well-known Jack Layton, an MP for the NDP. One of his wonderful quotes is, "My friends, love is better than anger. Hope is better than fear. Optimism is better than despair. So let us be loving, hopeful, and optimistic, and we'll change the world." And this is something that I take to heart. We must be hopeful that society will decide that the way things are right now must change to be more of a humanity, to be inclusive to all people. The 2S LGBTQIA community has so many barriers in society right now that I am hopeful that with all of our voices together, that we can change, regardless of race, borders, all of these things that we have created on our own, that are all changeable. To do that, I think we have to start thinking about love and having that love expressed to those that you don't understand, that you want to learn to understand. And then we can change the world. I don't know how this happened. How did I get in this position where people want to hear what I have to say? It's such a humbling experience. Like, what am I saying that people want to know more about? I don't know all the answers. All I know is that the way things are now have to change. And if I have some small part in making that happen, that's all I can ask for.